right, sit back and buckle in because this one's gonna be a crazy one. I, I I didn't even have any intention of making something talking about this to the extent of what I'm about to do. Only because, if anything, I was just gonna make something to try and give notice towards the Stop Killing Games initiative and what was going on. But it snowballed so much in a crazy way that this is ridiculous. Now, if you don't know anything that's going on with the Stop Killing Games initiative, definitely look up Accursed Farms. He's a YouTuber who basically started something that essentially will revolutionize gaming if it comes to pass. And whether you believe that or not, that is completely your own thinking, but in reality, in truth, what the Stop Killing Games initiative is trying to do will in fact change video games from hereafter if it comes to pass. Now, the crazy thing about what was going on is that this essentially blew the hell up because of a person by the name of Pirate Software. Now, it's crazy that Accursed Farms had to, he legitimately needed to establish and confront what it is that Pirate Software said about the Stop Killing Games initiative, because he got everything so unbelievably wrong, and it did everything that you could possibly imagine to just essentially put full stop towards the initiative. Now, the Stop Killing Games initiative just needed signatures in order to get essentially a rhetoric of what it is that he was asking for within video games passed within the EU and the UK. And so Pirate Software essentially was looking into what the Stop Killing Games initiative was and just got everything unbelievably wrong. Now, Pirate Software is a YouTuber slash streamer who's much bigger than Accursed Farms. So Accursed Farms basically dedicated, in accordance to his words, 10 years of his life to making this initiative happen. Like, it's not even in the realm of what his YouTube channel is about, but he was so passionate and believed so much about doing this that he's someone who actually broke down, got to and then created this initiative and then went full force in doing it. And it's been pulling the numbers and it gained the attention that it got, but it was obviously not really gaining any traction that was necessary, because he needs at least 100,000 names in the petition for the UK, but he needed at least 1 million names for the EU. Now, at this point, they've reached the goal of over 1 million and some change for the UK. For the EU, as well as the 100,000 for the UK. But at the same time, he's also released a video recently that says that essentially, they're not out of the water yet. So if you're capable of signing the petition, I'm not in the UK or the EU. If you're capable of signing a petition, I urge anyone, if you are someone that's a pro gamer, to please go do that. Because again, like this is one of those situations within video gaming that has a ripple effect throughout time. I'd say this would be similar to the aspect of the ESRB creation. And if you think I'm being hyperbolic, that's completely an opinionated thing, and you're wrong, because again, with the EU, it came to regulating games with a rating system, and look at what that's done to video games in the hereafter. So yeah, this is something where it's like, all right, to get companies to be put in the forefront of making sure that the games that they create and you spend money on stay playable way after the companies decide that they no longer wish to keep the games themselves in a serviceable condition, or if they just want to full stop destroy the game entirely, which has happened in video games before, is nothing but a net positive of an initiative. There's absolutely no negative aspect towards this initiative, and it's crazy because Accursed Farms actually put out multiple videos explaining how, like, they're just so detailed on exactly everything that you could possibly come up with as a question towards what his initiative is trying to do, and he answers it fully. Like it's well articulated, it's done in a perfect presentable manner, and there's literally nothing wrong with anything that he's asking for. Nothing, aside from making sure that these video game companies are held accountable for ensuring that the games that they create that you spend money on are still playable long after these companies decide that they no longer want to keep those games essentially viable for themselves. So it is genuinely, hey, all you have to do is design your games with the mentality that you need to either let the players themselves be aware this has a particular shelf life, or you design the game with the initiative or the mindset that you are capable of keeping it alive, whether it be online, a MMO, or always online video game or anything like that, to where you are capable of keeping it alive through some fashion, whether that's you let that be held by the players or by you, which again has happened before within video games. There are multiple video games that exist that essentially need a server in order to function, and they have their own separate servers that either the creators themselves function or they allowed players to keep in control of, and then people can just play those games and they still play them as if if they never stop playing it, and they work perfectly fine. And that's something to where it's like you now have current games that are essentially in the process or in the realm of, if the companies decide to just full stop no longer do anything with those games, that's it. All the money you spent on those games are gone. All the anything that you inputted into those video games are gone. If you wanted to just play those games years and years later, you will not be able to, because the company is no longer keeping anything going on with those games. Hell, the Anthem game just shut down their servers, and the Anthem game is a game that you need to be online in order to play. But that essentially would have been one of the games that would have been made, even though it was a colossal failure for EA, it would have been made to essentially keep functionality happening because of the fact that people actually spent money to purchase said game, despite the fact that it bombed, and then they would have to keep the upkeep of it, or give the functionality of the upkeep for servers or whatnot to the players that still want to play the games themselves. It might not be a big deal of a bunch of people playing it, but the fact that the game had money spent on it, and the fact that there are some people who do play the game and indulge in the game, means that it does have some type of life. So it's not a matter of just being absolute profitable for the company, because if that is your argument, that's ridiculous, because this isn't about the company and what they're going through. This is about the consumer and what they're doing. If EA is capable of making a slop game like Anthem, and it bomb and it do bad, and they rushed it out and whatnot, and then all of a sudden people who spent money on it are then told just a couple of years later it's no longer playable, that's on EA. That's not on the consumer. No, it's not. It shouldn't be a coin tossed on whether or not a game that you played that they made to be online specifically only has a small shelf life, because they don't know what it is that they're going to do, nor do they have any intention of keeping up with the game if it essentially doesn't prove to be profitable. That doesn't make any sense. It doesn't make any sense for you to even decide to spend money on a game if it doesn't come out and proves that it actually is worth playing in the first place. So that whole rhetoric that's going on, to where essentially the Stop Killing Games initiative has nothing but negative aspect going on behind it, has been at full force being pushed by Pirate Software. Now, the guy that is Pirate Software, I forget his real name, Thor, I believe, if that's how he refers to himself or something like that. But the guy essentially read what was going on with the Stop Killing Games initiative and got everything completely wrong in the worst possible way. It was so bad that Accursed Farms actually made a video of him responding towards the multiple wrong takes that the Pirate Software guy had towards the Stop Killing Games initiative, where he legitimately was essentially inflating his own idea of what he thought Stop Killing Games was about, and then he was responding to that, which was the most disingenuous and just insane concept that anyone could possibly have. Now, the incident blew up so badly because of the fact that people just genuinely don't like the Pirate Software guy, and then he just completely misrepresented, misinterpreted, and then just decided to not change his stance on what it is that's happening within the Stop Killing Games initiative. It led to such this ridiculous avalanche snowball effect that multiple big time YouTubers have gotten in now, to where at first Stop Killing Games, the the EU signature was at like 500,000, and then it now but like they needed 1 million. Like now they have 1 million, and that's great. That's great. Now, like even the Curse Farm has said in his last video, which is named Big Update on Stop Killing Games, like he even announced that the damage Pirate Software has done to the initiative has long since been overdrawn. Like the positive of what has been happening has completely overshadowed the negative that he did. But Pirate Software did do a negative. And the crazy thing about watching everything that's happening is like, for being someone like myself who was an arrogant asshole, like, oh, I'm arrogant as hell, I always got to be right. I understand that about myself. But to see someone else do it in such a disingenuous way, but believe to be absolutely right, when the thing that you're essentially talking about, or the rhetoric that you're regurgitating, is coming from something that's right in your face, and all you have to do is read, but you're choosing not to, but you're making up your own distinction of, is insanity to me. And so right now you have with the Pirate Software guy just essentially tripling, doubling, just quadrupling down on his stance towards the entire Stop Killing Games initiative, and it's insane. And now we've actually had other big time developers speak out on the Stop Killing Games initiative, which is how you know this shit is real, like really, really real. And all that they're talking about, which is essentially everything that they wouldn't like from the Stop Killing Games initiative, because it would mean that they would have to do more work. All that they're bringing up in terms of going against the Stop Killing Games initiative is everything Pirate Software talked about. Now, what makes this even more of a disheartening thing is because Pirate Software is someone who claims to be pro gamer. He claims to be a developer, and he claims to know what's good. Like he knows like what's a good thing for gamers and whatnot. But his immediate and initial take towards the Stop Killing Games initiative was that it's a car salesmanship, dog shit kind of thing. Like he was just like, yeah. And then not only that, but then he also went to state that he would actively try to disavow people from engaging in the Stop Killing Games initiative. And so it goes to show that essentially, even again with his disingenuous ass, he was speaking as if, oh, I'm the one who's stopping this, I'm doing the bad. Like he went off on Twitter talking about Reddit threads and shit like that. It was dumb. But essentially it was something to where it was like, you are responsible for muddying the water, which is the sentiment that a lot of people keep using, because that's exactly what he did. It was gaining some traction. It might have been a small thing. It might have been just not really that big of a deal, but it was still gaining some traction. And even according to Accursed Farms, the people who essentially would be bigger YouTubers that might actually had a voice to help push along the signatures, they actively stayed away from it because Pirate Software said what he said. He was someone who was essentially bigger and had a much larger platform than Accursed Farms. So him saying what he said, and it going from his Twitch viewers as well as his YouTube channel and what other media he was using, because he made multiple videos talking about the Stop Killing Games initiative. Multiple, mind you, all right? He had multiple. Like he had like a whole hour stream, and 30 minutes of it was him talking about how Stop Killing Games was a bad idea. But in those streams, everything he said was completely wrong. And again, it's like, I can't wrap my mind around how it is that you would be that ridiculous in your take on this, especially when Accursed Farms actually reached out to the guy to say, hey, it seems that you've gotten some of the things about the initiative wrong. And I'm not trying to change. And then like, because the Accursed Farms, it to me seems like he just is like, is like a great guy that took a lot of his own personal time and effort to do something that is a genuine net positive, a genuine net positive for gamers as a whole. And for someone like me who is a gamer, whether or not I indulge in online only games or MMOs or fucking live service games or anything like that, that's besides the point. That doesn't change the fact that later on down the line, games that I might want to play would be affected by this rhetoric. And if there was a time and a place where something could have been done against that, why wouldn't you indulge in that? Especially if you claim to be a pro gamer like myself. I'm all for gamers getting a better experience and a better initiative behind their video games, rather than the companies just getting a bigger chunk of the pie when they're already making money hand over fist by just delivering out slop. The AAA industry just like, who was it? Xbox? Someone just fired at least 9,000 people from like from their company because the games aren't selling and they're not making any money because of the slop that they're releasing. Now, with that mentality, you have one of the things that he initiated and started this the Stop Killing Games rhetoric behind, which is the Crew game that came out from Ubisoft, where they just destroyed the game. Like, the game was an online only game, but you spent money for, and then because no one was playing their game, they just destroyed it. They just stopped it. And so then people weren't allowed to play that game. If you bought it and you had it and you put it in your console or played it on PC, it wouldn't work. And that's the bulk of the problem, is that should not be a viable thing to happen for video games. Hell, I have a friend, I've done videos with him on here before, if you care to look into it. My friend Kevin, he has a copy of Injustice 2. He has never played that game. We always crack jokes about him because of that. But he bought the special edition version of that game. That was $100 at the time when it came out. But it came with like all the season pass and all the special like extra characters and shit like that. He bought that copy. Now, if he was to put that game in right now, like he just decided one day to play it now, he was to put that in and it didn't work, would he not be pissed? And again, like, this is totally different mindset from someone that's deciding to download the game today at like, you know, like fucking $15 a pop or whatever. But it's like, if he decided when he spent $100 on the game when it first released, had all this time to play it, but he just never got around to doing it, but then he decided finally to play it. And like when he put it in, it didn't allow him to download anything because the servers don't work, or like they don't allow to download the content and nothing like that. Would he not be mad? Wouldn't you get mad? And then to go even further, if he decided to put it in and it just didn't work at all, would you not be upset? Now, regardless of if it's like, okay, you can no longer connect online or you can't play people online, it's like, all right, regardless of that, the game should still be playable. Whether or not it's like, okay, it doesn't have certain features that are capable anymore because the company doesn't are responsible for that, or they don't want to be responsible for it because no one's playing the game. Whether or not that's a thing, the game itself is no longer playable. Then essentially he's holding a plastic case with a disc that he spent $100 on that's worthless. And it's like, thinking of something like that to me is upsetting. That's crazy. That's insane. But for the pirate software dude to essentially see something that's talking about that as an initiative to stop companies from essentially having things like that happen, and then completely disregard everything that's being said, and then coming up with his own rhetoric towards what he's talking about, because the dude breaks down essentially single player games being online only, or MMOs essentially being turned into single player games, and none of that is being said. But he just takes a lot of what was said, claim that it was vague because he couldn't understand it, and then just decide to be disingenuous towards the entire movement, and it just put full stop towards everything that was being done. And I thought that was the most sickening thing ever. I thought it was sad because that's terrible. And then there's nothing I can do. I can't sign the petition. I don't live in the UK or the EU, but again, it was messed up. And so then for him to essentially have that happen and it just break down even worse. I just saw Legacy Killers HD video about it, where it's like he's now left certain companies because he's like, they're being review bombed because he worked at those companies and people are just attacking him. And then like one of the co-creators of that team, that company that he was working with, was also stating that, you know, kudos for him stepping down so that we don't get review bombed as much, but it is a bad thing that's happening, and this is a terrible rhetoric behind the Stop Killing Games initiative team, or like not the team, but essentially the people who are supporting it, that are having a negative impact towards pirate software. Only to prove that both of the motherfuckers align. Like, there is no negative review bombing being done towards the game or the company that he was working for. So then it begs the question, why are you even stepping down if nothing's even fucking happening? Now, stuff that pirate software has done is being review bombed and is being negative regarded. But it's like, that's the internet being the internet, because you said what you said and then you continue to be disingenuous about it. That it's insane and that's crazy. But right now, you are playing the victim when you initially started out as basically being the villain, and you were proud to be the villain. And you can tell because of how much this dude is an arrogant asshole. If shit went good and then this was basically dead in the water, he would take full credit for it. And I find that even more disheartening just thinking about it. And it's like, you know for a fact, if this ended badly, and it was like the Stop Killing Games initiative did not go well, pirate software would take full fucking credit for it, because that's how much of an arrogant asshole he actually is. And it's crazy. Again, this is entirely crazy to me, because it's coming from someone who's supposedly pro gamer. And it's like, everything you're saying is not pro gamer. But it's like, what he wants the initiative to be is what it's not. And again, it's like your unbelievable disingenuous nature is stopping you from actually just understanding that the rhetoric that is being said is a positive for gamers. Any questions that you could possibly have, A Cursed Farm has actually answered it. All the issues that you could possibly think of that would be an issue for this to pull forward for politicians to actually talk about it, A Cursed Farms has addressed it. But you've continuously chose not to look into it, but like to not pay attention to that, to just completely disregard it, but to keep your mindset going on. And that's fucking crazy, because it's like, what you have to say is not what we're talking about. But it's like, you keep bringing it up and it's like, no one's talking about this. We want MMOs to be single player. What the fuck? No one's talking about that. No one's talking about that at all. But it's like, that's what you think. And that's just crazy to me. That's just so crazy. And I'm definitely going to have the links towards everything that the Cursed Farm is doing, the Stop Killing Games initiative, and the different petitions being signed on my video. But it's like, I find that it's great because of the fact where it's like, you can't, there's like, if anything, you got to give it to pirate software because of his stupid take about this. It has done nothing but a positive for Cursed Farms in the Stop Killing Games initiative. And it's like, the fact that it has reached its like, you know, the fact that it even has 1 million signatures in the petition is great. Like that's great. And it's like, you definitely need more. So don't even think like, oh, I don't need to do anything to reach the top. Like, no, more is better. And it's like, all you're doing is signing the petition. And it's like, there's nothing else involved in that. And it's like, you're just signing a petition. No one's asking for money. No one is making you give away anything. It's like, they're just saying sign a petition. That's it. That's all that there is. But it's like, I thought it was cool towards the fact that you have essentially PewDiePie, Jacksepticeye, all these other big YouTubers essentially going in on this because of how Moist Critical and whatnot, because of how dumb pirate software's take is on this game, on this initiative has been, that you just have so many people just dogpiling on what's going on. And again, because he's an arrogant asshole, he's making this and painting it to where it's like, oh no, this is what everyone's doing. I know I'm right and I'm not changing. It's like, again, he's like, I'm not changing my rhetoric on this. And again, it's like, I understand essentially like standing by what you believe and what you think. But when it's something to where it's like, okay, even A Cursed Farms reached out to you to try and have a dialogue about what it is that you might not understand, or for him to explain what it is that he's talking about. And it's like, whether or not you are even in the mindset of thinking that, okay, like, I just want to like solidify my point and how I feel about this or whatnot. I don't see exactly what was the problem with just having a dialogue with the guy. Now, whether or not you want to do it, that's up to you and everything. But He even states and is like, yeah, I'm not trying to convince you to think differently. I just want to clarify some of the things that you got wrong. And you clearly got things wrong. And it's like everyone's pointing out the things that you gotten wrong. But your ego is so fucking large that you're under the mindset that no, everyone's just dogpiling on me. I didn't get anything wrong. I'm fine. I'm good. I'm great. And it's like, no, nigga, this is you're wrong. You're unbelievably wrong. And I always I thought about the upper echelon video because he made a video talking about this, and it's like I thought, you know, the take the upper echelon was given was essentially that you're well within your rights essentially when the internet does what the internet does on you, and then you just stand your ground to essentially go against it. That's fine. And upper echelon was like, he dealt with shit like that before, and it's like, and it's something that takes a toll on you mentally, you know. And it's like, I understand that. But considering that upper echelon was like, he was wrong, he admitted that he was wrong, and then that was it. But you just got trolls being trolls, and it's like the internet do what the internet do. That's one thing. With pirate software, this is something that is having a drastic effect towards video games in general. And it's having a it could have a monumental effect on video games as a whole throughout the rest of time, considering how this initiative could actually be done and what this could mean for games in the future. And Pirate Software is someone who had a much larger platform than the Curse Farms, had a bigger voice on what was going on than the Curse Farms in terms of him spreading his rhetoric. And it literally caused this initiative to come full stop. So this was something that genuinely could have been dead because of Pirate Software's inability to literally just fucking read. And that, to me, is a hell of a lot worse than just being wrong. To just getting something wrong and then standing your ground towards not kowtowing towards what the mob might want you to do. That's just like that. Those are two different scenarios of, all right, yeah, you're standing your ground. All right, you're not taking down your video that had the wrong information on it. You just like, whatever, you know, move on with your life. Cool. This motherfucker is like actively said, I'm going to get people to not engage in this. I'm going to stop people from engaging in this. Got contacted by the actual person doing the thing, and then was like, I'm not engaging with him. Decide to go on Twitter and tell people, I'll be willing to engage with you if you're willing to have a civil conversation. But you don't want to talk with the actual person pushing the initiative? How fucking crazy is that? And it's like, this dude has been nothing but upfront in his design and his rhetoric towards what it is that Stop Killing Games is doing. And yet, Pirate Software has done everything he possibly could to just be the asshole in this scenario by essentially claiming victim because of the fact that he wishes to stand his ground. And that is fucking insane. I understand everyone dogpiling on Pirate Software because there's like the dude, like I said, he's an arrogant asshole. So he's an arrogant asshole. So there's nothing you could say or do to him that he won't just conflate towards, you're doing the same thing everyone else is doing, whatever, blah, 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 blah. And he's just going to keep being the way that he is, whatever. But I understand everyone dogpiling him. I understand everyone making a video about this. And it's like, I understand this being something to where it's like, yeah, everyone needs to take their pound of flesh, because it's like, this is the hot topic on gaming right now, aside from the massive layoffs that's happening, the multitude of games that aren't making any money compared to the Chinese big titty girls and whatnot. And it's like, this shit, the pot is boiling. The pot is boiling, and someone needs to take the lid off or turn down the fire, and no one is doing it. And so to see something like this, that's actually a net positive for gaming, and it just had this huge crazy effect to where the overall aspect towards it comes out as a positive, I enjoy. But at the same time, this didn't need to go down like this. And again, like I said, gotta give it up for Pirate Software, because if he didn't make the stupid take that he was making, who knows if Stop Killing Games even would have reached those signatures. But at the same time, if he was to have given a correct take on what was happening with Stop Killing Games, or if he supported Stop Killing Games, it might have done numbers a long time ago. Now, at this point, because I'm recording this on July 7th. The initiative itself is going to be over with on July 30th. So people still got plenty of time to get signatures in and like tell people about it and get them to sign up. It's whatever. Because like it again, it's still going strong and it needs to go stronger just to make sure this drives home. Because I don't know if you noticed, but it's like things happening in the EU or the UK have a monumental effect on gaming as a whole. And if you kept up with gaming news and you saw exactly how bad Microsoft was trying to fight their what is it when after they bought Bethesda, like trying to make sure that they couldn't, or Activision Blizzard, when they tried to get Activision Blizzard, how much the EU and the UK was trying to stop them because of the fact that it was like, yeah, you might have a monopoly over the industry. Sadly enough, like look what happened to Microsoft after that. But but still, it was like, yeah, those things have a ripple effect. And it was like all of this stuff has a ripple effect. And the fact that Accursed Farms is someone who didn't just, pull a rabbit out of his ass and be like, you stop killing games, stop killing games. It's like, no, this dude has completely justified everything that's going on. And he has said it, and again, in a very articulate way that I respect like crazy. But I didn't know to the extent of how bad things were getting outside from me seeing an upper echelon video talk about this months ago. And then with that, it was like knowing that it was in the UK and the EU, I was like, well, there's nothing I could do. But it's like, oh, I'm glad, seeing something being done is pretty cool. And it's like, it seemed as if it had some traction then, but it's like now, and then what happened with Pirate Software just going full stop. Because I also recommend watching the end of Stop Killing Games video by Accursed Farm. I should probably put that in the description as well, because of the fact that it was like, yeah, seeing the person who's behind the initiative, looking at someone who gets everything wrong and then exactly how disingenuous that they are being is entertaining as shit. Like, that's entertaining as hell, because it's like, dude, how are you? Because it's dumb. It's just completely dumb. And then I like the fact that Accursed Farms basically just kind of lets it be known near the end of the video that he just believes that Pirate Software genuinely doesn't want the Stop Killing Games initiative to be done. It just seems as if his mentality towards video games is the same thing that the publishers have, where I'm fine with games eventually having a small shelf life and then dying off. That's all well and good if that's something that you believe and that's something that you want. But people still have put money and time and effort into these games. And so whether or not the games themselves are no longer viable for the company, they should still be playable for the player. And that's the simplest fucking thing you could possibly have. And it's like, yeah, the game isn't dead. It just doesn't have as big of a supporter community behind it anymore. That's the simplest way you could possibly have the Stop Killing Games initiative. Fuck, Accursed Farm has a minute-long video explaining the Stop Killing Games initiative that does even better than what I just said. And it's just called Europeans Can Save Gaming, short version. It's a minute and 12 seconds. So it's, again, it's like, I urge anyone who's indulging in this, and it's like, yeah, look at it, share it, love it. Because it's nothing but a positive for the video game industry. And it's like, again, if it wasn't for Pirate Software getting this shit this bad and this wrong, we would not be where we are. But hey, the silver lining. And so there's like, I truly hope the Stop Killing Games initiative does exactly what it needs to do. I hope that it has fucking 2 million signatures by the time July 30th is over with, to where you can drive this shit home and everyone will be good. Also be aware that because the EU signatures, they're like the whole bot voting or bot signatures and shit like that. That shit is serious and it's a crime if people are sitting there doing fake shit. So be wary of that. And it's like, so come in with pure intentions. And it's like, I understand if you being like, no, I'm gonna fake some signatures to get this shit going. It's like, no, it ain't gonna work out for you, bro. It's like, don't do that. That's a negative for what they want. And it's like, they are gonna sift through the names to see what's real and what isn't. But yeah, and it's like I urge people, just more than anything else, if you stuck through this video for this long, it's like, I urge you, hey, share and share alike. Take the links, let people know, and it's like, hey, just sign up for this. You in the EU? Cool, sign up for this. You're talking to your friends online that are playing, you playing Helldivers, Fallout 76, Fortnite. I'm just naming shit. that are online games that you essentially don't want to go away. Call of Duty, anything like that. And it's like these games that you want to be able to keep playing if you like playing them, despite what the developers would like to do or what they want to do to the games when they decide to kill them. Get those people interested in wanting to share their shit. And it's like there's a lot of people out there who like playing certain Call of Duties over other ones. And if this initiative passed, those would be the type of games that essentially are kept alive despite what the publishers want to do to the servers and whatnot. Fuck. They like even the rhetoric behind developers and like Pirate Software being like, well, you know, there won't be any protection against thief, you know, you know, criminal activity on the servers. There won't be any protection and stuff like that done because the companies won't be responsible for it, yet they'll still be liable because it's their game and shit like that. And it's like, dude, there are servers or games that exist right now that have massive hacking incidents that they don't do anything for. Titanfall 1 is a game, you can't play that game anymore because of a hacker. And it's like that game is still up, yet EA has done nothing to fix it. But there's just one particular hacker that has screwed over that game. And Titanfall 2 has the same issue, but it's not as bad as the first Titanfall. Titanfall is a game you spend money on. It has no single player mode, but you can't play that game now because of a hacker. And EA don't care. So there's the bullshit right there. And yet there's like, yeah, there's so many things to where it's like, yeah, you cannot look at this and see it as anything but a positive for gamers. And this dude just got everything completely wrong, and it's just crazy. And it just really bugged the hell out of me. It just bugged the hell out of me because I'm a pro gamer. And to see someone be that disingenuous yet claim to be a pro gamer, I just need to make a video on it. That's really it. So this has been another episode of Fun with Flame. I've been your host, Danieltheflame. As always, I hope you had fun.